We all kind of have this image, don't we?
Yeah.
Growing old together, maybe retiring on the same day, sailing off into the sunset. It's very romanticized.
It is that seamless transition idea.
Exactly. But when you actually start digging into what happens in mid to later life, it's less of a smooth glide and more like juggling maybe three or four big shifts at the same time.
Yeah, it's complicated. You've got the empty nest, sure, but then maybe retirement doesn't happen together and suddenly you're looking after elderly parents too.
Right. It's staggered and it's overlapping.
And that's what our sources for this deep dive really highlight. We're looking at academic studies, financial planning data, and some really personal stories too.
Trying to find the patterns, right?
Yeah,
What makes relationships stable or satisfying through all this?
precisely. We're synthesizing all this to see how couples actually navigate it.
So that's our mission today, to unpack the practical steps, the emotional adjustments couples make or maybe need to make to handle these simultaneous changes and, steer clear of that whole gray divorce trend we hear about.
Okay, so where should we start? The transitions themselves.
Yeah, let's kick off with retirement logistics because the gap between what couples think will happen and what does happen is, frankly, stunning.
It really is. You look at the Ameriprise financial data, and nearly two-thirds of couples expect to retire together, or at least within a year of each other.
That's the dream scenario,
Yeah.
side by side into the golden years.
But the reality, only about 11% actually manage that simultaneous retirement.
11%, that's tiny.
It is, and the vast majority, get the 62%, retire more than a year apart.
Wow. So one person is completely out of the work routine, maybe trying to figure out their days, while the other is still full on commuting, dealing with deadlines.
Exactly. That retire together plan is, for most people, more like wishful thinking.
So that staggered timing, maybe even more than the empty nest, could be the big disruptor.
It definitely throws unexpected challenges into the mix. I mean, the empty nest, you kind of see it coming, right? Like, kids grow up, they leave, it's a known transition, even if it's emotional.
Yeah, it's on the calendar, eventually.
But retirement timing, that can get derailed by a layoff, a sudden health issue, maybe just burnout hitting one partner sooner. Life intervenes.
That makes sense.
And an interesting side note from the research is how much longer the empty nest phase lasts now compared to, say, the early 1900s. People live longer.
So couples have decades potentially in this post-parenting phase.
Which is a huge opportunity, but also it's more time for these kinds of mismatches in life stages to create friction.
And that friction often shows up in really mundane ways, doesn't it?
Mm.
I keep thinking about that story of Pat Link. She retires, all systems go.
Oh, the closet organizer.
Yes, day one, she completely reorganizes her still working husband's closet by color. And he apparently thought, this woman really needs something to do.
Huh. It sounds funny, but it's so telling, isn't it? It's not about the shirts.
Not at all.
It's about one person losing that core structure, their work identity, and kind of projecting that energy onto the remaining structure, which is the partner's life and routine.
So you have to renegotiate everything.
Absolutely. Researchers call it role negotiation. It's essential. The retired spouse might suddenly want more togetherness, more interaction, just when the working spouse needs to decompress after their day.
And the old roles, who
Mhm.
handled the bills, who did the cooking, who planned weekends, they might not fit anymore.
Exactly. If those things, set over maybe 20, 30 years, aren't talked about and actively renegotiated, resentment can build up really fast.
Okay, so that's the logistical side, the routines. But what about the emotional side, especially with the empty nest? Is it just sadness or is it more complex?
Oh, it's definitely more complex. Research shows really mixed emotions. Lots of parents actually feel relief, freedom from the daily grind of parenting, excitement about what's next.
I can see that. Less laundry.
Right. But that often sits right alongside nostalgia, maybe anxiety about how the kids are doing, sometimes even a little guilt about feeling relieved. It's a whole bundle of feelings.
So how do couples manage that emotional roller coaster, especially when retirement stuff is happening too?
Well, this is where having a framework helps. One that comes up in the sources is Schlossberg's 4S system. It's a way to think about how well anyone copes with the transition.
The four S's. Okay, break that down.
Sure, it stands for situation, self-support, and strategies.
Situation self-support strategies. Got it.
So, situation is about the transition itself. Was it expected, good timing, or bad? Are there other stressors happening at the same time, like money worries or health problems?
Okay.
Self is your internal resources. Your
Mm,
health, your general outlook, are you optimistic? Your coping skills, your commitment to the relationship itself is part of this too.
makes sense. Then support.
Support is your network. Crucially, your partner,
Mm.
but also family, friends, community groups. Who can you lean on?
And finally, strategies.
Strategies are what you actually do. Do you seek out information, take direct action to solve problems, maybe distract yourself, find new hobbies?
Okay, so let's make that real. A couple could have plenty of money, so their
Sure.
situation looks okay. But maybe one partner is pessimistic, not very healthy, so their self-score is low and they've lost touch with friends, so support is weak. That couple might really struggle, even with the money.
Exactly. The system shows how strengths in one area might compensate for weaknesses elsewhere, but if multiple areas are weak, you're vulnerable.
And for a couple, you have to look at both people's 4S profiles.
Yes, absolutely. And how they interact. This brings in the idea of dyadic coping. It's not just about how I cope, but how we cope together.
Dyadic coping,
Yeah.
like coping as a pair.
Precisely. It's that shared effort. If your strategy is let's travel the world and your partner's is I just want to potter in the garden, that difference, that incongruence needs to be talked about and managed together. You
Yeah.
need a joint strategy.
Or the whole thing just creates more stress.
Exactly.
Okay, that connects perfectly to the next big piece, those external pressures, finance, health, and caregiving. This really tests that dyadic coping, right?
Absolutely do. Let's start with finances during staggered retirement. That first income stream stops.
But the bills don't, necessarily.
Right. Household spending often stays level, or it might even go up. New hobbies, travel, maybe home renovations they finally have time for.
So the temptation might be to dip into savings more heavily right away.
Yes, and that's where the financial advice gets pretty blunt. Be careful not to put too much strain on those savings early on. The risk of outliving your money is real.
So what's the alternative?
Well, this is where that idea of the retired partner finding maybe a side hustle or some part-time work comes in. It's not just about the money, though that helps.
It's about purpose, too,
Yeah.
like the Pat Link closet situation.
Exactly. It combats boredom, keeps skills sharp, provides social interaction, and yes, supplements income. Like one source mentioned a retired insurance guy getting his real estate license. Kept him busy and brought in cash.
Okay, and still on money. But bigger picture, Social Security and healthcare decisions, these feel huge.
They are huge, and they need to be joint decisions. Take Social Security. If the first spouse to retire claims benefits before their full retirement age, say 62 instead of 66 or 67,
They get less per month.
they get significantly less, up to 30% less. And here's the dyadic part. That decision permanently lowers the potential future spousal benefit for the partner who might still be working or who earned less over their career.
Wow. So claiming early isn't just about you. It directly impacts your partner's future financial security.
Massively. It requires a serious conversation about the long-term trade-offs for the couple.
And healthcare. If you retire before 65, before Medicare kicks in.
That's the other big one. You lose employer-sponsored health insurance, finding a bridge, whether it's getting onto the working spouses plan, buying an ACA marketplace plan, or COBRA, that's critical and often expensive. It has to be factored in immediately.
Okay, so you're juggling finances, maybe one person's new lack of routine, healthcare bridges, and then the phone rings. It's your aging parent, or maybe your adult kid needs help.
Enter the sandwich generation pressure. And it hits right when couples are often navigating these other retirement and empty nest shifts.
How common is this pressure?
It's incredibly common. Pew Research found nearly half of middle-aged adults are helping grown children financially,
Mhm.
and over 20% are also supporting an aging parent. Often it's both at the same time. The financial and emotional strain is immense.
And how does that strain play out in the marriage specifically?
Well, think about it. Conflict over limited resources, time and money. Who gets the help? Whose parents need more attention? Research also shows, perhaps unsurprisingly, that women tend to take on more of the day-to-day caregiving hours.
Which can lead to resentment if it feels unbalanced.
Absolutely. The working partner might feel the financial pinch and resent the retired partner spending all their newfound free time on caregiving duties instead of, say, that trip they'd planned, or arguments about which family situation is the priority right now.
So this whole combination, this staggered retirement, the financial adjustments, the caregiving squeeze, this is the environment where that gray divorce risk really comes into play.
It is. It's the pressure cooker. Now, handled well, the empty nest can actually boost marital satisfaction for some couples. They reconnect. But the stresses are real, and divorce rates for those over 50 have risen.
Is it worse for second marriages?
The data suggests, yes, divorce rates are about 2.5 times higher in remarriages compared to first marriages in this age group. However, length matters too. Stability does increase the longer a couple has been together. Those married 20 plus years are generally more stable than those married under 10.
So it's not inevitable, but the risks are clear if couples aren't intentional.
Exactly. Stability has to be actively built and maintained through these decades.
Okay, so let's flip this. Let's talk about success. What do couples who navigate this well, who stay stable and happy, actually do? You mentioned one study looked at couples married on average 32 years.
Yes. And the key themes that emerged were things like intentional reconnection and finding new meaning or purpose.
Reconnection, what does that look like in practice?
It means recognizing that being parents can't be the main definition of the relationship anymore. There needs to be something else. Crucially, the newly retired spouse often needs to find their own meaningful activities.
Like volunteering, hobbies, maybe going back to school?
Precisely. Something that provides that sense of individual purpose. If they don't find that, there's a real risk they end up sort of trying to fill their time by managing or consuming their partner's time and energy.
Back to the closet organizing problem, essentially. You need your own thing.
You need your own thing, so you're not solely reliant on the partnership for your entire sense of self-worth or daily structure. It's about fostering that healthy individuality within the strong partnership.
Okay, so individual purpose is key. What about joint strategies for strengthening the bond?
Successful long-term couples consistently mention prioritizing time together. Simple things like shared activities, laughter, reminiscing. They often describe their spouse as their best friend.
And handling conflict.
Yes, they report being good at conflict management. Not avoiding fights, but resolving them constructively. That seems critical.
And sometimes that partnership involves really significant conscious sacrifice.
Right.
Like that story about the wife supporting her husband's education.
Oh, that's a powerful example. She didn't just offer encouragement. She literally took over all the household chores, shopping, cooking, cleaning, so he could focus entirely on his studies.
That's a temporary but total restructuring of their roles for a shared long-term goal. It really shows commitment.
It shows incredible teamwork and belief in the dyad, the partnership. It highlights that flexibility is key. Now, on a more day-to-day level, was there one coping strategy that consistently came up across studies for reducing stress?
You mean a joint activity?
Yes, something couples did together.
Ah, I remember this one. It was surprisingly simple. Physical activity.
Bingo. Walking together, going to the gym, hiking, it seems almost too basic, but it works on multiple levels.
How so?
Well, it boosts individual physical and mental health. That's the self pillar in the 4S system. And doing it together strengthens the relationship connection. That's the support pillar. It's accessible and effective.
A 2-for-1 deal for coping.
Pretty much. And finally, we have to talk about intimacy.
Right. The research was pretty clear on this one, too.
Very clear. Both physical intimacy and emotional satisfaction are strongly linked to overall marital happiness in later life. Feeling connected on both levels matters.
Was there any difference in how men and women viewed it?
There was a tendency noted in some studies for men to place a slightly higher relative importance on the sexual intimacy aspect compared to women, although both valued overall intimacy.
So the takeaway there is that couples need to keep communication open about both physical and emotional connection, making sure both partners feel satisfied, especially when other life stresses are high.
Exactly. It needs to remain a priority for discussion and effort.
Okay, let's try and sort of wrap this all up, bring it home. The big lesson from this deep dive seems to be that growing old together happily isn't just something that happens. It's not passive.
Not at all. It requires active, ongoing work. Proactive communication is huge. Negotiating those shifting roles we talked about.
Yeah.
And really supporting each other intentionally through all those concurrent crises, the job changes, the caregiving, the health scares.
It's an active partnership, constantly adapting.
And if you zoom out, the real core of a thriving long-term relationship seems to be this balancing act, nurturing and respecting each partner's individual journey, their evolving purpose, their separate interests.
While simultaneously strengthening the shared bond, the us.
Exactly. Strengthening that resilient dyad that holds it all together.
So maybe the final thought for you, the listener, to chew on is this. How well do you actually know your partner's specific retirement dreams, their health insurance situation if they stop working tomorrow, their social security options, what gives them purpose outside of work or family.
Moving beyond assumptions.
Right. Proactively auditing those things, seeing them as distinct from your own plans and needs. How might doing that now better prepare your relationship for those inevitable overlapping transitions that are likely coming down the road?
That level of proactive, separate but shared planning, that sounds like the foundation for real partnership.